MARTA. My friends call me Mal, and I'm 18 years old. So it's about 13, 14 years now. My parents didn't like the mentality of Ukrainian people back then, and they wanted for us to have a more European, better quality childhood and education and life in general. So firstly, they wanted to move to Austria, but that was not really possible at the time. So we moved here because that was the most accessible European country at that point. To me, yes. I really like it here. I even want to like come back here after my studies abroad, and I think it fulfilled the vision my parents had for us. So I want to study abroad because I think that I would advise it for everybody because I think it brings a new point of view and all of those buzzwords. And like Slovak education is okay, but there is better. And I think it's good for people to go abroad and then come back with the knowledge they have and provide it to the people who either didn't go or are here, and just to develop and make the country they were brought up at like a better place. Well, I was very young. I was like 5, if I'm not mistaken. So for me, it went smoothly. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I went to a like English, uh, how's it called? Kindergarten, English kindergarten, for a year, and there I like I learned Slovak, which is funny, and then I went to a like classic school here. So at that point, I knew Slovak quite well, and I didn't have any problems integrating. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, I mean, I just got a Slovak citizenship like 2 weeks ago, finally. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, I feel a strong connection towards Ukraine and everything, but I would consider myself a Slovak at this point because, like, all my life I have built for myself, and all the people I care about and love are mostly here, like, except my grandparents. So, yes, I feel like responsible for this country maybe more than Ukraine. Well, I mean, I very vividly remember the first day I was at this school, and I just woke up one morning and everything was happening, and I didn't understand that that actually happened. And for me, like I have a very interesting situation because like my mom is Russian, and my father is Ukrainian, and I was born in Ukraine and blah blah blah. But one part of my one side of my grandparents are Ukrainian, and they like uh, were personally touched by the conflict because they live in Kiev. But my other grandparents are pro Putin, so that's very difficult for us. I guess that like widened the gap between us very much. And I mean, to me, I became, maybe I would say, more radical and more pessimistic about the world when this happened. But I especially see this on my mother, who is Russian, and she like feels, she doesn't feel responsible, but she feels horrible that like her people are doing this, and like she was quite a bright person, but now she's very pessimistic. So I went to the Ukrainian to the foreign embassy when many, my brain is not braining. Refugees? Yes, many refugees came here, and I like was kind of a translator there. Like for not for long, but like for a few days in the beginning. My parents did a lot. Like they went every day and they helped with like the food and rations and like translating and everything. So they are like heroes at this. Yeah, but I helped mainly here, and then like when we like at Scouts had some Ukrainian kids, so I tried to like keep make them more welcome. But otherwise, not really. I didn't do as much as I would like to, but I did what I could. I texted with few like young people who like either went to the schools I went to or like knew the friends I knew, but because I'm not really fluent in writing in azbuka or like in Russian or Ukrainian, because like I was never taught that. I can read and stuff, but it's more difficult for me. So I didn't really engage myself in the like Facebook, Instagram communities. But I know my parents did, and they do until this point. Like they often usually my parents ask me the things they ask them because I know a bit better about how it goes here. So, and then they like tell the other people. I mean, the protests which were happening, I was there and with my parents and with my friends. So that I guess is an NGO, like Slava Ukraini. And I once went with my mother like to do the candles, which they sent to the fighting pits, which they use. But otherwise, like I know some exist, like whether it's like Slovak classes or I don't know scouting, for example, but it's not like directed for refugees or Ukrainians. It's more directed for youth. So I do, but that is certainly because I speak without an accent in Slovak. Like I see a big difference when I talk to people and when my parents talk to people, like whether it's like a conflict resolution, whether it's medication or anything. And before the war, it was like less visible because now there are so many Ukrainians and many Slovaks aren't very happy about it, whether it's jobs, whether it's like them bringing their own culture or not integrating or whatever. But yes, I do feel safe because I am not a recognizable Ukrainian person, like just by sight or by speaking. So like people wouldn't know I'm not Slovak. But I can imagine that it is very much different for people who speak with accent. So yeah, and I saw it with my own eyes. So I mean, even my parents who like immigrated a while ago, but still because they speak with accent, it's especially after the war. It's it's like people either like in medical circles careless or a bit, not every time, like there are many very nice people, but often when I don't know traffic things, when people like roll their windows down, like the conversation goes way differently when I talk and when they talk, like it's yeah. So I mean it surely changed, I think, for everybody because like if you follow news you're gonna receive many uh like if something huge happens you will see it. um so like my personal like feed that only changed with like more news about Ukraine and everything, and I started following more news, started to searching myself for the information. But I know that like I know of people who received a lot of hoaxes like online, and I worked at like an NGO called Krupica, which deals with misinformation. And at that time, I did like quite a few posts about certain like either allegations or misinformations or hoaxes about the war. So I know that like probably older people were more touched by this, and people in Bratislava are way more liberal, and it's like it's a bubble. So I know like people who are outside of Bratislava, mainly to the east, when I go there to I don't know hike or scouts things, like I see a big difference with like people just like seeing the war differently than they do here. Instagram, and I would say that's it. Like I don't really, I try not to have like TikTok and all of those. I guess YouTube is, I can call that a social media, but yeah. Otherwise, like I check news rather than social media for information. Well, there is certainly a difference. I mean, there is a joke I often use that like war is like fun like for a year, maybe two, and then people forget. Like, and then like Israeli-Palestine conflict happens, and then that is talked about. But then when Zelensky went to U.S. to talk with Trump, but then it went up again, and it's yeah, it's like I mean the sad reality of the social media and the fact that so many things happen in the world, and you can see everything now, so it gets lost, and like many people don't really think about it now, about the war maybe even. So yeah, I really see the difference that like it's a boom, it's a trend, and then it goes away slowly. But I see that like for example the protests which happen, they are in Slovakia, they are also by the NGO Slava Ukraine, and can you just like when you will edit the video, can you just let the star and like give?
Yes, I will. I will.
I mean, they're also very focused on the politicians and the fact that they are pro-Russian and that they want Slovakia to be a European country. It is, but like doesn't behave like it. That's the problem. But it is organized by those NGOs because it's also connected. And on those protests, like you can see that people remember and people care. But once again, I live in Bratislava, which is a bubble. Like you can see a way greater decline when you go more towards the east. Well, for sure. I mean, as I said, I was very disappointed in humanity. I mean, no, but I mean, some people anticipated it, but like, even if people thought that might happen, like everybody was believed that it will not from like my circles because it's 21st century. Why would we like fight wars in Europe? And it still happened. And I see people who like believe pro-Russian content or like live in Russia believe that that is correct, that is right, and it stops my mind sometimes that like how people cannot understand it, which probably breaks my heart even more is like listening to Ukrainian corruption and what happens, like how corrupt is even that system. Like the nation is in war, and it's like there are still bad people who like don't care about their own soldiers and like take their lives for granted. And it's like just seeing the entire picture and how there are bad people on both sides. It's heartbreaking to me. I mean, I guess I would consider myself an activist. I mean, I worked in quite a few NGOs in my life, like whether it was the anti-hoax awareness. Then I worked at Model Slovak Parliament, but the like for the entire course of my life, I was a scout, and that is probably the most activism I do, and that stayed the same because it's about uh, educating and raising young minds the same way as they did raise me. I wouldn't say it changed. I mean, I guess when I came to the school, I became way more politically engaged, whether it was like youth politics or the model conferences. Maybe the war helped helped me with this because I felt like more strongly about it, but also it might be only me like uh, growing up and realizing how horrible things are. I mean, I don't think the war changed it. I mean, I do have certain unhealthy copings. I do have certain healthy copings. I make fun of things. I try to laugh because there is nothing else we can do. I mean, I have this like measurement. Like the joke can be as like really bad, but it has to be at least a little bit funnier than it's bad. So yeah, I mean, what else is there for me to do? That's how I cope. Or you can cut it there. Actually, I just called both of my grandparents before this. So, with my Ukrainian grandparents, we're way more in contact. Like, I mean, we call often, we text, we have like our family group chat is with them actually. And they even came to visit a few times. They were coming to visit more often, and we were going to Ukraine before the war, like every year and stuff. Then they came here when the war started to live here for a while, but then they returned, so now we only call or like text. But with the side of my Russian grandparents, that's different. Like I don't call with them often. It's maybe like once a month. But I always have this personal conflict of like me not knowing whether I should or should not, because like I really don't believe in what they believe. But I mean, I know how they were brought up because I had like a certain history project with them when we talked for like 3 hours about like their upbringing and everything. So I understand why they feel like they do. And I mean, I love them. They're my grandparents, but it's very difficult for me to like wholeheartedly invest myself in the conversation. And we don't talk about anything except like my education and the weather. So they always like make me feel bad for not like for forgetting them and not coming to visit them because Moscow is so great. And my grandparent and my grandpa used to send me like 7 hour long videos about how great Russia is until my mom had to like literally like have a fight with him not to send us these things. So yeah, but I mean they are very nationalistic and it's very difficult. I mean, when my mom told them that she's about to get Slovak citizenship and that therefore she has to like let go of her Russian one, uh, they didn't talk to her for 2 months because like it's disgrace for the family and that she should have waited until they die. So yeah, they have their own beliefs. That's what I'm gonna say. probably this is a thing which everybody knows, but they love to forget, and I guess I'm also one of them. But to me, it's think and love. I mean, be critical, but be compassionate. I guess that's something which people lack.
Thank you for watching our video! Check out other things that we do here. Sharing is caring. Or go and live your young life. Subscribe! Thank you. Bye.